What was it the first thing that you started with?
Person who puts me on like reality check is my mother.
We all know about it. It's not that we don't know.
Not at all.
Where did it all start?
I was just about 18.
People would get asked, be it the Ambanis or the other business families, is that you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
No, that was just...
What was it all about?
My father would always tell me, if you have 100 rupees, you should give 10 rupees as charity.
Now I've got to live it on my own because till then you are doing something.
For me, always things just came into my hand. I never planned. I'm not a planner.
In fact, at Mumbai airport, if you talk to me, a lot of people say they miss the flights because they're so busy taking those.
So after we sold the airport, life is in the second phase of my life. Sanjay and me have started life all over again.
So that's exactly the question I was coming.
I think everybody should work together also, sometimes I feel.
Where do you think the entire composite plan comes about?
Funding, marketing, publicity, advertising, the design, everything is a mix.
I did see that in your link.
Pinky Reddy is the lucky mascot. I don't know how I did it.
Welcome to yet another episode of Conversations on HYBIZTV. Usually when we speak to entrepreneurs, most of the time we do get men. But then today's world are full of women who made a mark for themselves and said, yes, we are here to stay. Today I have with one such person, Pinky Reddy, to converse with. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for asking me to be here.
Thank you. Wonderful. Let me start this conversation, as I do with most of the people whom I speak to, is the early days. Where did you start? I mean, in a sense, like the parents, we all know about it. It's not that we don't know, but for the viewers, it would be a kind of an education to understand. Where did it all start?
I was born 1970. So that means I'm 54 years old. I was 2 years old when I moved to road number 1, Banjara Hills. My father, Dr. T. Subram Reddy, he built his house those days in 73, I think, 72 or 73. And it was, the whole of Banjara Hills was just like in wilderness, full of rocks, beautiful. Nobody would even come this side. So the only neighbor we had was Nagesh uncle, Dr. A.N.R. So that's why both our families are very close. We used to have a wicket gate between both our houses. And I had a, touchwood, I have no regrets. I had the most wonderful childhood, grew up very happily. My parents gave me the best upbringing, the best life. That I have no complaints at all.
In fact, I interviewed your father, I think, more than 4 or 5 times in my journalistic career at Times of India. The question often that people would get asked, be it the Ambanis or the other business families, is that you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Did you ever get a feeling that people...
Not at all. I think my family humbles us the most. I don't think I've ever seen my parents, my mother praise me, oh, you're the best, you're fantastic. My father does praise me all the time, but the person who puts me on like reality check is my mother.
And your education after that.
And so I got married very young. I was just about 18 when I got married. So I went to America. I did some courses there. Then I came back and I finished my education on correspondence. So I never got to go to a fabulous university and study. But I feel my university is my home. I have learned seeing my father, my father-in-law, my husband, all of them, I think that's more of a practical learning than going to a college.
So when you saw education and you said, okay, I did see somewhere a Harvard, mention of Harvard in that...
No, that was just, that's recent. Okay. I went for one of these YPO courses. Okay. I went to Harvard, then I went for another course to Stanford, small things. Okay. No, so I would never say I'm a Harvard graduate. No.
When you said you got married young and you got married into another industrial family, what was it the first thing that you started with? Where did it all start?
It's funny, when my mother would always say, study, you have to do this. My father always had this thing of, no, enjoy life, you're a girl. That was his mindset. Okay. He was not one of those who, career, as a woman, you should have a career. He never felt like that. So when I got married and my husband, and I had both my kids when I was very young, 20 and 22 I was, and I literally grew up with my children. So I told my husband that I want to get into business. And he said the same thing because he saw his mother working, so he felt like I'm going to miss out on life at home. And he's like, no, just enjoy life. Why do you want to get into all this? We have enough people working. So it's a joke. Somebody said, some foreigner came once, and he said, oh, so everybody works, what do you do? I said, somebody needs to spend that money. So I just joked on that. But saying that, I was always interested in charity and philanthropy. And my father would always tell me, if you have 100 rupees, you should give 10 rupees as charity. So that was always in my mind. And I started, being involved in Save the Children, a lot of organizations I was involved in. So that's how I started off. And on my own, I started helping a lot of people. I started a foundation, started educating people. So I was very like a freelancer, let me put it that way. I had my own foundation on my name called Aparna Foundation.
I did see that in your LinkedIn.
So I did that myself with no help of my parents, husband, in-laws, nobody. It was my own.
What was it all about?
I started when Sanjay got the Mumbai airport, and I started a retail company by myself. So all this, for me, all this things just came into my hand. I never planned. I'm not a planner. Let me put it that way. So when Mumbai airport came in, then I was involved in the art collection of, when we were doing the whole airport collection of art. So I was working with Rajiv Sethi, and we went around all over the country, and I just saw how much of our artisans are just dying out. All the younger generation rather be a IT professional than actually continue their legacy. And I said, you know what, I need to do something for them. So I said, why don't I start a retail company? It just randomly came. I started my own business by myself. I had no idea how to start a business. And I started it, and it was I was a successful business. I did 3 retail brands. One is local, one is paparazzi, one is, we had these gift shops kind of a thing in the airport.
So in fact, Mumbai airport, if you talk to me, a lot of people say they miss the flights because they're so busy taking those
That's
pictures.
what my husband would say. The whole idea is that they should not feel bad missing your flight because we did so much.
I mean, I've taken...
The vision was all Sanjay's, and he was the one who said it should be, people should know when you come to India, it feels like India.
Yeah,
All the money I made from this business, I had it in a foundation, and I educated a lot of kids. So that foundation is still there, and now at present, so after we sold the airport, and now my life is in the second phase of my life. So my kids are married, I have grandkids, and so they're all on their own. They have their own careers, own lives. So Sanjay and me have started life all over again. And this time, I'm working with him. So we both are hand in glove. We have started 3 new businesses. One is in GV, that is our artificial intelligence in healthcare. One is in real estate, and one is in hospitality.
But I did see a company called Lotus House Group. What was that?
That is mine. That's the Lotus.
Yeah.
The Lotus House.
Yeah, and then you had Red Villas and Resorts Private.
That's the real estate we started.
So you have so many roles.
So we're just starting a lot. So it's nice. I'm enjoying it. I travel with Sanjay. We work together, and I have my own little life.
I think that feeling is there because I know that because when my daughter got married a couple of years ago, and we have only 1 kid. So the moment that is over, it's like kind of now I've got to live it on my own because till then you are doing something for the kid.
Exactly.
And all that. Now when you look at your philanthropic activities, a lot of them say that we got to give back to the society.
Yeah, I give back, and what I really like it, I don't know, in the middle of somehow I got this image, this title like, oh, Pinky Reddy is the lucky mascot. I don't know how I did it. In the process of my philanthropy from my 30s, 25s to above. So I thought, there were a lot of young girls who would want to, kind of nurture their passion and get into business. So I said, why don't I help some girls like that? And so I would, when I started Lotus House, I was just saying, even the artisans, I would give them the design, I would give them the funds, and they would make it, and we would actually give back. So they're making money also. Same way when I would go for these exhibitions, they asked me to come and inaugurate. So I would see a lot of young girls who don't have the bandwidth to open their own store, or they don't have the connect. So I would help them out. So because they would get a movie star, or they would get somebody, big celebrity, they'll charge them for opening. So I just said, okay, let me give back to society. And especially women, I would always help.
That's it. So that's exactly the question I was coming to, because in India what happens quite often is that the role of a homemaker, at least in the first part of the life, even for educated women, when she's pregnant and when she has a baby, they take a break and then they come back again into their career. But when you see rural artisans, and you rightly said that tradition doesn't continue, I mean, we are breaking away from it all. How do you think, there's a role for the government, there's a role for the private sector, and there's a role for individuals like you to do it. Where do you think the entire composite plan comes about?
I think everybody should work together also, sometimes I feel. The plan as in what? How would you...
No, I mean, for example, somebody wants to start a boutique of ethnic designs and you are the person who's seen it, done that, dusted it.
So I really mentor them very well.
Is it that it's all about, is it about funding? Is it about marketing? Is it about...
It's a combination of all. Funding, marketing, publicity, advertising, the design, everything is a mix.
FICCI FLO, that's another organization which you are deeply involved. I know that. I attended a couple of press conferences long back when it all started. But when it comes to FICCI and FLO, I mean, when you talk of a ladies' organization, what is the skills and kind of demonstrable instrument that you bring to the table as an organization?
I think it's a fantastic organization, FICCI FLO. It's got, I think we almost have like 13,000 or 14,000 members pan-India. So around 20 years ago, Hyderabad chapter asked me to be the chairperson and I became. And then eventually I became a national chair president, and which is actually the first person from our state.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, so, and I'm quite proud of it that I did a very good job. We started a lot of little ventures and CSRs and a lot of things for the women. What is very important for me is helping women to take care of themselves economically, how to build their own businesses, teach them. So we've done a lot of little programs for them to learn all that.
When you talk of rural hinterlands, when you look at women in rural hinterland, first aspect is education. Get them educated in the first place.
Absolutely.
Then skill them, and third them, get them a job on their own, or as you said, start something on their own. Lijjat Papat can be one example of how it all started. There are various such examples that come to mind. Do you think when you all started it out, do you have different role models that you looked up and said, look, I want to be like this person?
For me?
Yes. Was it your dad? Was it somebody else? Was it your husband?
I don't know. I've never planned. That's what I was saying. I just go with the flow.
Okay.
I just said I want to be somebody. I never thought of anybody.
Yeah. People say, oh, you know what? I like Sudha Murthy, or I like.
I think I touch upon everybody. Like I would say, there's certain things about Neeta Ambani which are amazing. It's something to learn from. There's so much to learn from Sudha Murthy to that matter. There's so much to learn from Preeta Reddy to that matter. To so many women. Kiran Majumdar. Each one of them are so dynamic in their fields. It's fantastic to learn from each one of them.
Do you think the next 10 years, we've seen so many new startups come up. They're getting valuations like crazy. So many of unicorns around there. Do you think at a point in time today's youngsters, as Prime Minister Modi would often say, be a job provider, not a job seeker? That's typically an entrepreneur's way of looking at things.
Why not?
Do you think that is the way forward?
I think it's a combination of both.
Do we need employees or do we need employers?
Both.
Now the question comes, obviously, that fact that when you are in the later part of your life, you have so much time on hand now, when you look at different businesses as such, do you think there are gaps?
It's funny, I don't have time for myself now.
Exactly.
I'm 54 and I thought, okay, when I grow older, I'll have lots of time, I'll do this, I'll do that. I just realized as I'm growing older, it seems to be lesser time. I'm not getting time to do things for myself.
So the obvious question that would come up is, I did ask your dad this when I had interviewed him, say maybe more than a decade ago, is how about your kids not in politics? Because usually
everybody asks me, why didn't you be in politics? I said, I feel I'd done my good deed by helping people even without being in politics or even get a position. I think today's time, politics is very difficult. It's not...
Your cup of tea?
It's not at all my cup of tea.
So, I mean, that's...
A lot of people think that I can because my personality is like my dad and I'm good at public speaking and I'm good at public, I can handle a lot of that. But the world is very corrupt.
Well, I ask you one very sensitive question. You have an option to skip it. Mumbai International Airport Limited. I know you're not directly involved in that business, but was it running an airport that tough?
My husband was like so passionate about it. That was like a baby. I was very involved in it. I might be not sitting there as a director, but I was behind my husband, always seeing what he did, and he always spoke to me. We always discussed. So I think it was an amazing experience.
Why did you give it away? Or when I ask why, it means the entire family. Why did you decide to give it away?
I guess we needed to. I mean, we needed to, because I think, there was a lot of company debt and,
yeah, that's what.
So for various reasons.
Yeah, when that
various reasons.
Yeah, when that thing, I know, diplomatically you can avoid that. The various things that happen when running an airport.
Everybody feels in Bombay, anybody goes around, they're like, oh my God, you all don't have the airport, how beautiful it was. I feel good.
You don't.
We conceived it and we gave birth to it. So.
You also have a biotech company. You had.
Yes.
You still
Origin.
are actively involved in that?
I'm not directly involved, but I'm shared. I own it, but it's very professionally run.
So it's not not your regular
No.
trip of business.
It's started by my husband actually in 2000.
Yeah, I remember that.
And my father-in-law was more into, that time they were doing J. Grupadu power project. He's like, what is all this rubbish? So Sanjay would sneak out on him and try to get customers, and it was something exciting for him to do.
When you look at various businesses that are around, philanthropy or otherwise, do you think there's some where you feel you should be also trying your hands at? Anything specific?
In philanthropy?
Anywhere. I'm giving you both the canvases, the philanthropy and the non.
The thing what I really always wanted to do, if I have the ability, is to start the most amazing assisted living premises, like old age home. That is something that's my wish, and I hope I do it.
So that is something that is needed badly, because I come.
So I want to do it for two people. I will charge the earth and the moon for people who can afford it, and I will completely do free service for people who can't afford it.
Because today I come from a state like Kerala where it's an old age home now. I mean, all of us are out of the state. My mother's 82, she's still there. Sometimes you feel that, it's not right. I think that's a great move of yours.
I really want to do that. That's my...
So when Pinky Reddy at 54 looks back and says, what are the things that I could have done differently if given a chance again? Anywhere, anything?
I don't think back. I only think future. And I don't have any regrets. I think I have a great life, and I've done everything with I've enjoyed myself.
Wonderful. And how do you like, as we close this conversation, how do you like to be remembered? As when people say, I met that lady, and how do you like to be remembered? I mean, not as a socialite or anything else.
I would like to be remembered as a good human being. I would like to be remembered as an intelligent human being, and a person who's given back to a lot to the society, that kind of a person.
Wonderful conversation speaking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Pinky Reddy, at her best as always. And definitely there are messages, and there are, of course, instances in that which one can replicate. And that is a wonderful thing of having a conversation. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.